to Book 101. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is EMEA Continuous Improvement Lead at Google and Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, helping teams make sense of complexity by combining system thinking and culture and AI, none other than Mr. Joel Tamandjo.
Hi everyone.
Welcome, Mr. Joel, and Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Uh, Hi everyone. Thank you, Daniel, for having me. Um, just to say that I'm a professional of operations management, work in different industries from construction, logistics, and manufacturing, and now in tech. As you said, I'm a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, and really I'm what I like to do is really to blend the traditional Lean Six Sigma methodologies with any innovation, obviously in the day we're in the age of AI. So blending it with AI. And I'm also an investor. I invest in different startups, and the most recent one being Famla AI, and other projects as well, also in the space of AI.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Joel. Thank you. And today let's talk about Lean Six Sigma in the age of AI. So tell us, Lean Six Sigma has traditionally been about human driven process improvement. How does integrating AI fundamentally change this philosophy? Are we shifting from people improving process or to algorithms optimizing systems?
Yeah. No, such a brilliant question. I think like Lean Six Sigma has always had, I would say like three dimensions, right? You have the people, like obviously processes and tools. And tools, there was a series of frameworks, PDCA, DMake. I mean, just to be without using too much jargon, those were methodologies on how to manage a Lean Six Sigma project, how to manage an improvement project, right? So you have this basically this triangle where you have at every corner people, processes, and tools, frameworks. And I think like with AI, what we're saying is that the tools are going to change, right? If before we had humans running those tools, those frameworks, now we're going to see AI take more and more spaces over there. We're going to see practitioner focusing even more on the people side. As I say, I think AI will make us more human, right? I think like we won't be hiding behind frameworks. We will have to focus on change management, stakeholders, building relationship with stakeholders. And so, yeah, so I think AI will make us more human as practitioners.
AI makes us human. Interesting idea, Mr. Joel. The traditional eight ways of lean are well understood. In the AI era, what are the new forms of digital waste or data waste that organizations should be identifying and eliminating?
Yeah, I think like you're right to point out like the in the traditional Lean Six Sigma methodology, there's this focus on the waste, and I think in the AI space, some of those will be. I think AI will help us. I think there's different ways AI can help us. One will be AI helping us identify those waste and dealing with them. But as I said, AI will be in the around decision, like supporting the decision making, but it will still be the human to make the final call around is that the right way of dealing with this, right? And and one book that I really like, and I think I will just say parentheses and while I'm answering your question, I think like one book that I really like is "What's the Problem" by Thomas Wedelsborg, and basically what it talks about is reframing the problem. Is this a problem worth solving? Right? I think like with AI, we have this now powerful tool that can help us, map processes at scale, perform all kinds of analysis. And I think now the question as humans is what's the problem worth solving, right? And to your point, now coming back to your question about the different ways, is I think that's where the human comes in because AI can help us grasp all the ways. But then the question as human is like, which one do we want to go after? Which one aligns with our strategy? Which one aligns with um, the culture, the market, and so those are some of the questions that we need to ask, that kind of scoping questions that will then feed into the AI and help the AI use it as a decision making tool. um, in terms of the new waste that we need to be careful in the AI age. Obviously, you've probably heard people in your podcast talking about like the quality of the data, right? I think like this is not really something we had to care too much in the previous Lean Six Sigma age because for once what we were doing in the previous Lean Six Sigma is that if a data set was not ready, we'll just go and collect it, right? But I think like if you want to run powerful AI, you probably need a good quality of data set. Other than that, I think like we just need to be careful about not leaving humans to the side. And so I think like what's really important is the people, and again the people, really closer to the culture. I think like culture, this quote by Peter Drucker, like culture eats strategy for breakfast. So I think it's really important to focus on the culture, on the stakeholders engagement, on the change management, because your AI might be powerful, but if the people are not engaged and are not really to implement the changes you are recommending. They're not willing to follow an algorithm, the decision made by an algorithm, or they don't trust the algorithm, or they don't trust the process, the decision making process. Then you have some troubles, right? So long answer short, I think like again, I will come back to this idea of like really we need to be more human in the age of AI.
How should Lean Six Sigma certification programs evolve? Should we be creating a new belt levels or specifications that focus specifically on AI driven process improvement?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. I think like I've been actually talking about this a lot with some of the practitioners. One person I've discussed this is John Dennis, who is the chairman of the International Lean Six Sigma Institute. An amazing person, a thinker in the field. And you're right. I think like we need to focus as practitioners, right? We need to probably focus less on the frameworks because doing things like analysis, AI can do it nowadays. If you feed the right data set and you ask AI to say, what's my bottleneck? AI can find it nowadays. There might be some niche use case that AI cannot do for now, but as you know, the technology is moving so. I mean, it's like at such a rapid pace that only a matter of time before AI is able to do those frameworks. So I think like what we've done in the past in terms of training was actually getting people to learn, memorize frameworks, templates. And what will happen next is that as AI is able to do and operate and basically do this operate this template, we'll need to shift, right? And again, I think like something that I've personally done is trying to learn a lot about culture, right? You will hear me talk a lot about it. So coming back to the AI capabilities, that's why you have tools like Family AI, right, which is able to do a lot of what a practitioner would have done back in the day. And if you think of a practitioner in the Lean Six Sigma, you really have what we have: process understanding, interviewing people, understanding the process, mapping the process, and then analyzing it, providing recommendation. You have AI today. I'm not talking of tomorrow. You have AI today that are able to do that. And so, as practitioners, there's two things that needs to happen. One, we need to learn how to work with AI, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if a practitioner say, no, I don't want to work with AI, I want to do it the old-fashioned way because I'm used to it, or because I believe in the purity of the traditional Toyota way of doing things, the client, the leadership team in companies might not be happy with that, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're running a continuous improvement project, it's not for you. It's because there's a business need. You're trying to resolve a customer complaint. You're trying to help a company grow. You're trying to cut costs. So, like, time is of essence, especially in this dynamic market condition where people are innovating, competition is fierce. And so I think as we see the as practitioners, we need to go into, again, I think first thing is what problems need solving. I think a lot of the time we might be focusing on the wrong things, right? And so I think it's really important as practitioners that we do question storming. I don't know if you've heard this term before,
Mm-hmm.
but which is about putting in solutions and seeing which ones stick. But then question storming, what's quoted, I forget me, I don't remember who had this term. But like question storming is about finding the right problem to solve. And so, and that's where I think, and this is about creativity. This is about ideation. It's ideation, but on not on the solution side, but on the problem what solving side. And so you do question storming, and I think that's a quality that we need to harness as practitioners. Because sometimes, some leaders might come to me and say, "Hey, I want us to cut the lead time for X, Y, and Z," and you're like, "Do we really need to do this?" Like, and I think that's where, as practitioners as well, we need to guide our stakeholders and say, is this a problem worth solving, right? Because there's nothing much like nothing as harmful as solving the wrong problem, like, because you're wasting resource, you're wasting time, and you're guiding the organization in the wrong direction. So that's the first thing, problem, identifying the problem. I think we need to focus more on identifying the problems. I think like practitioners probably need to also, and in that they need probably some financial education, right? In terms of how will the what I'm doing impact the P&L, cost, revenue. I think that's super important. The second thing I said is the stakeholders management, stakeholder engagement, change management. How do I, as a practitioner, bring, as a leader in improvement, bring with me the people, right? How do I make sure that people are engaged in the changes we're asking them to do? Um, and the third thing, as I said, working with AI. So just to summarize, I'll say there's three things. One, learning to work with AI. Two, learning to identify the right problem to solve. And three, learn to guide people, stakeholders, in this kind of change, this journey for change. Those are the three skills that people that as practitioner will need in this new era.
Mr. Joel, let's talk about the emerging capabilities on frontiers. So, can we realistically build process that you use AI to not just identify issues but automatically implement countermeasures? What would the counter
Yeah,
plans for such a systems look like?
yeah, no, and that's amazing. That's an amazing question. I think like what we have. I think as AI gets better, I think on the technical side, we might be there, right? You see systems already that are able to run. You have like experiment. You have experiments of company. I think it's Anthropic. Sorry for my employer Google, but you have I think Anthropic running. They had like an AI, and they asked him to run a vending machine from everything, right? From ordering to running the supply chain of a vending machine at their office. So you already have like experimentation like that of AI, like running pockets of experiment of AI running things almost in autonomy. Um, I think the difficulty is almost like driving cars, right? Self-driving cars. The difficulty might not be actually technical. I mean, it's difficult technically, but I think it's doable. I think the difficulty might be in trusting the decision, right? I think there's a few questions that needs to be answered in terms of one of the responsibilities, right? Like in case something goes wrong, like who's accountable for it, right? So there's a question around accountability if something goes wrong. Let's say you have an AI running a supply chain and I don't know, for some reason there's a stock out or the wrong piece is ordered, and then there's it's mainly like in the cost of legal accountability, who takes ownership. I think this is some question that needs to be solved, same as driving cars, to be honest. So the question will be like, who's taking accountability? Is it the person that build the foundational model? I don't think they will want to do that. Is that the person that fine tune the model, or is it the person that kind of set up the system at the company for it to run? So that's one question to be asked, accountability. Second question, that which is kind of related, is the trust, right? Trust of the different actors. Like, can I really, as a worker, do I really trust that the AI has taken into consideration everything that needs to be considered when making a decision? Because again, we see processes, but processes are not only about how work gets done, right? There's this dimension of how work gets done, but there's also this dimension of who talks to who, right? You know, surely that in companies, like the org chart is not as linear as it is. People talk to other people. Something gets done because I know Daniel from this other, I don't know, we're doing some sporting activities on the outside. So if I want this thing done, I can go and speak to Daniel directly, or I can get a phone call to my golf friend in another company to get like discount and whatnot. So if you, and those are very hard to capture, right? Those are not part of any official standard operating practice. Those are not part of any standard playbook at any company. And so if you were to put the standard processes into the AI, or ask AI to run it as per the standards, you might be missing out on some of your competitive advantage that might be unwritten rules, right? You know, in companies, we have this kind of institutional knowledge, tribal knowledge that is hard to capture. And so it will be, the AI might be efficient running official playbooks, but then that tribal knowledge is really hard to capture and hard to implement. So the short answer to your question is um, technically it's going to take time, but it's going to be doable for sure. And then again, accountability and the kind of data, making sure that all the tribal knowledge is captured, is taken into consideration into the algorithm, to basically make sure that we're not at least losing on the experience. We're not losing on the quality of when it was run by humans.
Mr. Joel, the next generation of value streams. What will be the value stream mapping look like in 5 years when AI agents, or robotic processes, automation, and smart system are integrated into every step?
Yeah, so I think that that's a very brilliant. So maybe for our audience, like if we just take a step back about what a value stream mapping is, and so a value stream mapping is really a blueprint of how an organization works, right? And I mean, that's a big word again to say like how work gets done, like who does what when using which tools. And if you think of value stream mapping, it applies to organization, but even in your daily life, value stream mapping applies because the way you have your routine surely of the morning, and that can be mapped. That's a process, right? You wake up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, then you get ready, then you make yourself a cup of coffee, then you read the newspaper, and then you go and you take your car and you drive to the office. That's a process, right? That's a process that can be um, captured using value stream mapping. So there's different formats of value stream mapping, right? Some of depending on the usage you're trying to do. So if you're trying to just document it, you can use a simple description as I just did. If you are trying to automate, then you can use a lot more complex. There's different representation. But since we are talking about Lean Six Sigma here, I think what will happen is that I think in the short term, systems will try to emulate the at least replicate the current methodology as done by humans, right? So humans today have a certain way of capturing the information. So I think my opinion is that the system, at least in the short term, will replicate, will try to replicate what the current conventions. But as we emerge, as we progress, who knows? I think like in my prediction is that in 5 years we might have different language, at least that are much more comprehensible by systems, by computers, by machines. That makes it that makes for them more what makes it more efficient for them to automate tasks, run systems, run processes, right? Because think about it, the convention of process of variance mapping were really designed for us humans. They were designed for us to understand the processes. But I think as we integrate more and more system with AIs and probably to run like agentic AIs and other forms of AIs, you might have the emergence of new types of value stream maps formats that are much more suitable for machine operations and automations and machine running and AI running processes. So, but I think fundamentally the convention that we have today will still stay because they really value stream mapping is really useful to align stakeholders because it's very rare for people, especially if you're in a company, right? If you run a supply chain at a company, it's very rare for one person to have the end-to-end view, right from the order to the receiving the cash. There's so many silos, so many teams, so many people involved that the value stream mapping, the quality that it has is really to bring that end-to-end image and really help the people to um, understand what's going on and agree. I think it's very important to set a common baseline. And so I think the value stream mapping will stay. Other form might emerge, but they will be built on what's already there and not completely revolutionize things because humans will still be in the loop of those systems. So they will still need to understand a little bit what's happening.
Mr. Joel, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry and second season, and mod book 101 review in sixth season, comedy
Yeah.
101 in its second season or third season, food 101 is sixth season, geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 our fourth season, science 101, sex 101 in its second season of my baby podcast, Mental Health 101, Law 101, Bible Verses 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and the newest one, Motivation 101. Please listen to them wherever you
Amazing.
listen. Your podcast. Thank you, Mr. Joel. So, looking ahead 15 to 10 years, what does optimize even mean in AI driven world? We will reach a point where continuous improvement becomes truly continuous and autonomous.
Yeah, I think that's where we're heading, right? I think that's where we're heading because like if you look at the different types of analytics, right? You have the descriptive analytics, right, which tells you what's happening. You have the diagnostic analytics that tell you what happened. So that's where we are with continuous improvement today. We really look in the mirror, right? We really come into the picture after the fact and like kind of analyze, oh, why did something why did this thing goes went wrong. And so after that, I think what we have is predictive analytics, and this is where we're able to predict what will happen, when will a defect happen, and take like some measures. And then you can almost think of prescriptive analytics, which is the next layer. And in prescriptive analytics, what could happen is exactly what you said, of AI running processes, taking signals, and being able to adjust almost like workflows as things happen, right? And that's when and hopefully this system will have embedded into them principle of continuous improvement. And so the system will be able to recognize, hey, there is a problem in my supply chain at this point. Let me uh, take a plan B, reroute the shipment, order from a different supplier, um, and whatnot, right? So I think this is definitely possible. Uh, Caveat all the things I mentioned about accountability and trust from the system. But technically, this is something that will be definitely possible.
Mr. Joel Tamandjo, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel, for having me. I think we encourage people that are interested by AI and the Six Sigma to go and have a look at one of the projects I'm heavily invested in. I've been an investor for Famla AI, so famla.com or famla.ai. It's AI for operational excellence, AI for Lean Six Sigma, and they will be yeah, have a look. And I think it's a really cool product. So shout out to the team behind the project.
So, Mr. Joel, to wrap up of this interview, can you please recommend a book of books that influence your journey?
Yeah, so there's two books that I want to recommend. The first one is The Culture Puzzle by Mario Musa, Greg Urban, and Derek Newberry. It is for people that hear about culture and say like, how do I take the next steps in culture, right? Unless you're an anthropologist, culture is very vague concept, but that book really helps to settle really gives you concrete tools on how to do that. Very useful for all the Lean Six Sigma practitioners. And then the second book is What's Your Problem by Thomas Wedelsborg, which is about finding the problem worth solving. And again, very useful to make an impact, right? Because you want to work on impactful projects and not just work for the sake of working. So those are the two books I would recommend, and I think they're very, very relevant to the topic of our conversation.
Yes, people, please do read those books. So, Mr. Joel, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks, everyone, and thank you.
Mordicon people, see you soon.